extending the spine, just like flexion, changes the forces and the loads on the spine. Now, because it's the opposite movement, it just changes where those forces go, essentially. The same as flexion, the same as rotation, they just change the forces around the spine. Now, with extension postures, what was looked at were the spinous processes. So if you were to look at your spine in a mirror, or look at your back in a mirror, I should say, you can see all the lumpy bits that go up the back. That's the sort of the tip of your spinous process. And with each vertebra that sits on top of each other, there's a spinous process that goes with it, and they sit on top of each other and sort of glide over each other. So when you flex and extend, they're called facet joints. They sort of slide over each other to allow that movement of the spine. So there is a degree of structural stability because they're sat on top of each other, but they move to allow movement to occur at the spine. And then you've got the transverse processes which come off the side, which allow the rotation as well. So extending the spine puts force through the spinous processes. And excessive forced extension, so take for example a gymnast that is doing a back bend. So they are obviously on their feet and then they arch backwards and put their hands on the floor. That would be a forced extension into the spine. Now, this may facilitate impaction between the two processes. So essentially, if you want to put it crudely, it's sort of pressing them together or squashing them together. And this impaction may result in injury. Now again, if a healthy spine did that once, it's probably not going to be a problem. But if there is someone with a past history of extension or even just a past history of back pain, it's going to put them at more risk. So this is something that needs to be considered. Not only is it the physical action of doing it, but it's also the individual that's doing it that needs to be taken into consideration. And again, this is where the assessment comes in. Now, it doesn't just mean, well, it's extreme gymnast movements. It's also been found in volleyball players that spike. So it's that sort of coiling up and then smashing the ball into the ground, and that recoil. So that coiling up and then recoiling back, that can also present additional stresses. And this is something that I've always said, is that sport isn't the healthiest thing that an individual can do. I'm not saying people shouldn't do sport. I do sport. I do cycling, which is probably the worst position from a posture perspective that you could be in. You don't fully extend your hip, your spine is rounded, your shoulders are generally rotated inward. It's a horrible position to be in for 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 hours, whatever it is that one does. But it doesn't mean someone shouldn't do it. It just means you need to take that into consideration with regards to training. So please don't think that I'm recommending that people don't do sport. I recommend they do sport, but they need to understand the negatives that come with that sport, and then how to address and minimize those negative impacts of the sport. So other factors that can also come into spinous process injury would be large flexion and extension ranges. So a very high flexible spine, that will bring instability because the joint is a bit more lax, there's more range of movement, so on and so forth. So that will become a part of it. And a shorter interspinous distance as well. So they can all, again, they're adding into the mix of this this low back injury soup, if you will, because that's kind of how we have to think about low back pain it's made up of a number of ingredients, and we've talked about a few here. We've talked about flexion, rotation, and extension. We've talked about load that goes into it, and we've talked about frequency that goes into it. And we've talked about putting all of these together as well to increase that much more. So I guess what we can do now is we can go and sort of summarize this and conclude what we're trying to talk about. Are you tired of guessing what actually is working for your body? Well, it's time to train smarter and not necessarily harder. By joining the Fundamentals of Health and Fitness by me, Chris, from Christopher Hole Training, which is your all-in-one guide to building strength, overcoming lower back pain, building core strength and stability, improving posture, and much, much more. Every month, you'll get a Simple Science newsletter, which will give you insights to all of those topics. We've got mini courses on low back pain, posture, rehabilitation, building strength, step-by-step exercise workshops to help you move safely and perform exercises correctly and more confidently, and follow along core and posture workouts that you can do anytime, anywhere, because they're equipment free and short. So get involved, join the members area, click the link below, and I'll see you on the other side.